It's 10:30 and you're slowly drifting off to a peaceful sleep. You close your eyes for the last time for the night and you're embraced by the comfort as your heart rate slows and you finally fall into a deep sleep. In an instant, the calming darkness changes into a fiery hellscape. You look around and notice this place is familiar. You're in your hometown, but it's hardly recognizable. Where there were once quaint little stores on the main street, only smoldering piles of memories remain. In the distance, you hear fire crackling and agonizing screams. A panic sets in as you remember what house is just 2 blocks away. You take off in a sprint towards your old family home. Even though you're going as fast as you can't help but feel as though you're barely moving. You get a feeling like something is behind you, and you can't help but glance over your shoulder, and what you see sends you into a deep panic. Within a stone's throw is a creature that seems inconceivable. The first thing you notice is the large eyes set on you that seem to be void of anything but despair and hunger. Next, you take the entirety of the appearance in. Large spiraling horns adorned on its head, smoldering gray flesh with bits of fur and exposed bone. 6 long gangly legs that are bent the wrong way at the joints, skin missing around its mouth, sporting unending rows of teeth. The only thing you can think to do is run. You turn to sprint away from the abomination, but suddenly your feet are stuck, and fleeing is now an impossibility. The creature getting closer and closer makes your heartbeat skyrocket and makes your body feel as though it's jello. You also begin to feel the heat coming from the creature's burning flesh. In your mind, you know this is it, and you prepare to let out the loudest scream you can. The beast swipes at you with its talon-like claws, and you feel a deep burning pain in your arm where the claws went through your flesh. You cry out in pain as the world changes right before your eyes. The once apocalyptic hellscape is now your bedroom. It was only a nightmare. You go to wash the sweat from your face in the bathroom when you notice something. In your dream where that creature ripped into you with its claws is now, in real life, dripping with blood. In your peripherals, you see the slightest movement near your bed. You quickly turn to see a glimpse of what looks like a shadow fleeing from view. Now you are left to question that nightmare you had, and if you will even wake up to the next one.
Hello there, friends, and welcome to the Paranatural Podcast. My name is Ben.
And I'm Steve Perry.
What's with the musical references lately, bud? Nothing?
I love music.
Yeah, I know, me too. And we are so glad to have you with us tonight, me and Jacob, not Steve Perry, as we delve into the land of nightmares. Jacob, how you doing tonight, buddy?
I'm doing real good.
Doing real good?
Yeah. How are you?
After our week off?
Well, life's been busy.
Yeah, it has. And but we do thank you for those that reached out and, said, hey, guys, we miss you. It's
all of the two of you.
It's nice to be missed. Yes, it is.
Yeah. So cool thing happened, Ben.
Yeah, what's that?
So I went to a local festival, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I ran into some people that I went to school with.
Were they hurt? Were they injured? Is everybody all right?
No, I didn't actually run into
them. Okay.
But they brought up that they listened to the podcast and they love it.
Yeah, motherfucker.
Yeah.
Motherfucker.
Motherfucker.
And the same thing happened today at Walmart. A guy I worked with like 8 years ago, he brought it up and he said, knowing you, like how shy you are and hearing how comfortable you are on this podcast, it is so weird, but it's a great show. I said, I know. I do it.
Well, hey.
Of course it's going to be great.
to all y'all listening and telling Jacob how much you enjoy the show. Thank you, and we love you, whoever you are.
We love you a lot.
And for a long time. $5.
We love you a long time. I didn't know if we were allowed to do that, but you did it, so I'm doing it.
I'll do what I want. This is our show.
That's right. Cheers to that, my friend.
And if you enjoy our show, like the people who are giving us that little bit of encouragement there, then please do not forget to share that show with a friend. Just tell people about it. Share it on your social media, an episode, our website, paranormalpodcast.com. You can just link it right on your social media and let people come check it out. And if you are an Apple user, leave us that 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts. It will help us grow, help us meet new people, and we'll sit down and do a live chat with you guys like in the same room, and we'll just talk to y'all until you're sick of us. So,
which will be a long time.
Yes. So get on it. All right, Jacob. Tell us about nightmares, buddy.
About nightmares?
About night scares.
They suck.
Yes, they do. I don't know anybody that enjoys them.
I mean, I like writing mine down.
Which will be featured on the Patreon episode. So, patreon.com/paranormalpodcast. We do have 2 free episodes if you'd like to check out what we do over there, and a myriad of other episodes for you to enjoy for just $5 a month. And we love, especially well, everyone who has joined us over there.
Especially them, yep. But, yeah, just so you know, I've had some doozies of some nightmares, so, yeah. Fucked up shit. All right, so what is a nightmare? Nightmares are vivid and terrifying nocturnal episodes in which the dreamer is abruptly awakened from sleep. So what causes nightmares? They can be caused by many things, according to doctors and specialists and all those creatures alike. Sleep deprivation is one of the biggest reasons for nightmares. Kind of makes sense. To me, the fact that sleep deprivation causes it, I don't like it because it sounds asinine, but it does make sense because when I dream, it is a nightmare, and I am all sorts of sleep deprived.
So the only part about that doesn't make sense to me, if you're not sleeping, how do you have a nightmare?
So it's actually the sleep deprivation. So when you're sleep deprived, you'll go into the REM cycle of sleep faster. And so your dreams will be more vivid.
And that's how Freddy Krueger gets you.
Yep. Yeah. We've all watched Nightmare on Elm Street.
There's an Elm Street in every town. Okay, I'm done now.
Not in my town.
Then your town sucks.
It does. Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, let's just dismiss sleep deprivation because that's not a very fun reason. Another reason for nightmares is eating habits. Again, it sounds dumb. And since we want good reasons,
that one sounds dumb until you go on like a chili cheese dog bender just before bed. You'll have some real weird fucking dreams. That's a real weird time. If you want a real weird time, go ahead and do that.
Yeah. Okay. I'll make sure I do that.
Yeah.
So the good reasons: severe stress and anxiety and depression. That actually, it is in the ballpark. And at any point in your life, if you experience something traumatic, it literally can come back to haunt you through your dreams.
Well, I mean, that's the psychological explanation for nightmares. I don't know if you're about to get into this or not, but I'm gonna. Is that's where, well, nightmares and dreams in general, that is the place where your subconscious mind empties out the trash. So obviously stress, anxiety, depression, those are not nice things. And when your subconscious empties them out, sometimes your conscious mind remembers them.
Yeah. Well, so it's been a good show. Ben just stole the last half of my show, but I'll just have to come up with some stuff on the fly.
The last half, that was 38 seconds worth of talking. So it was only going to be a minute and 16 second episode.
Yeah.
All right, good night, everybody.
It's not the length that matters, Ben.
That's what she said.
I hope. So anything from a bully in the first grade to death of a close loved one and anything in between or outside those lines. But another thing that causes nightmares, how about medication? Sure as shit, it causes nightmares. And I've actually experienced this one firsthand, mostly on antidepressants and sleep medications. And those are the two big ones that will affect your sleep, along with antipsychotics, which, hey, I'm on all of those. So yeah, they especially make your dreams extremely vivid. Now, how about the reasons that people have nightmares that professionals dismiss or don't talk about? Originally, people believed that demons and other monsters cause nightmares. You are most vulnerable when you're sleeping, and dreams are the easiest way to infiltrate your mind. Many people believe when you're sleeping, you are the most susceptible to a demonic attack or a possession or anything in those lights. I kind of believe this to be true. There are so many accounts that I will talk about on the podcast that people get attacked and possessed in their sleep because you can't fight it. So there's people who in these attacks that I talked about, they'll wake up with scratches and bite marks and burns, and it'll be in places that they could not have physically reached to do that. And this, according to the flat-bellied experts, is always blamed on the victim of the nightmare, whether it makes sense or not. So, though you guys probably come to this podcast for science and boring explanations of reasonable sorts, I'm not doing that. I like to be a little bit more fun and scary. So, I think there's more to these. Did you know that there are some theories as to why there are some theories as to why people wake up so quickly when something's attacking them in their dreams, and it's because in some cases people can actually die in their dreams, like whether it's a heart attack or maybe something else. The professionals say it's a sudden heart condition to where it can cause a heart attack in the REM sleep, but everyone can in fact suffer from that fate. So I'm going to get into what may or may not visit you in your sleep that actually causes the nightmares and why they may be more real than you think. How's that sound, Ben?
Sounds like a good time to me. So I feel like
good. I like good times.
The topic of things we see in our nightmares kind of falls in the realm of the shadow people for me. It's a similar vein.
Yeah, well, that's actually on this list.
The fact that, and I'm sure you're getting to this, we all see very similar things in our nightmares.
Yes, we do.
So could they possibly be real?
Yes, they can. I'm getting into that, Ben.
We'll get to it then.
Yeah. Okay. So one of the reasons I think people wake up in such a heightened state of awareness is because your body can sense an impending threat or danger. So what if your nightmare is basically a fun way to warn you that you're in real danger and you are waking up aware and panicked, and that saves your life? There just might be something to that. Shadow people / creatures are usually seen during sleep paralysis or when first waking up from a nightmare or a dream. So that's the first possible threat that I'm going to talk about. Um, my our dear Benjamin, he already did an episode on them, so go back and listen to it if you want details. I'm only going to refresh memory as to what they are. They are patches of shadow that can be in the shape of a person, animal, or a mist / smoke. They have been around for a very, 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 very long time, and they are commonly reported by people after a sleep paralysis episode, but are also very common for the people waking up from a nightmare. Not very often you can look at them directly. Normally, you just see them out of your peripherals, and you get a brief flash before they're gone. Sometimes, though, you can have your eyes glued on them for what feels like hours. Some are reported to be malevolent entities choking their victim.
Choke me, devil daddy, choke me.
I'll take a helping of that too.
Oh, that's not a nightmare though.
No. Others are noted as simply watchers. This leads some to hypothesize that the shadow people are actually interdimensional travelers. Many people think they just feed off your fear, and that is why they show up during sleep paralysis or nightmares. Some people have bruises where a shadow figure has grabbed them. Could they be hallucinations? Could they be interdimensional entities? Or perhaps a physical manifestation of how powerful the human mind truly is? You tell me. You, Ben, you tell me.
I would tell you, but I don't know.
Well, let's find out together then.
So, just full disclosure, I'm probably one of those rare people on the planet who rarely remembers my dreams and very, very rarely ever has nightmares.
Many, many, many people don't remember hardly any details to their dreams. The fact that I'm on sleep meds, the doctor said a side effect of that is having vivid memory of those vivid dreams.
The only time in my life where I was a vivid and regular dreamer was years ago when I took Chantix. And if you ever watched the video version of this, it did work for a short period of time. I quit smoking for about 6 months. That was a long time ago. But yeah, it did quit. But my dreams were, I didn't have nightmares still, but they were very lucid, very real feeling dreams. Melatonin can do the same thing to some people. It puts you in that REM sleep a little deeper. Yep. I happen to know someone whom does that, and they are no longer allowed to take melatonin because I don't want to get punched in the head again. Anyway.
By golly, I got a hint who that might be.
No names on this podcast. I'm not calling anybody out.
You know who you are.
Yeah. She doesn't listen anyway.
Yeah, a certain person who has probably never listened to our podcast.
She gets enough of my bullshit on the regular, so anyway, go ahead, Jacob.
So I'm going to talk about 4 more entities that are possible reasons why nightmares aren't just nightmares. However, due to the possibility of future episodes, I am only going to give brief descriptions and what connection they have to the dangers of nightmares. So the next possible nightly visitor is called a Ravenmocker. Benjamin, are you familiar?
No, I am not actually.
Really?
I don't think I would mock ravens though. They do tend to remember people's faces, and they will shit on your car.
It's a Cherokee thing.
Oh, well, go ahead, buddy.
Yeah, shitting on cars is a Cherokee thing. Okay. So, coming from the Native American Cherokee tribe, the Ravenmocker, I'm not even going to attempt to say it in Cherokee. Okay, you guys like hearing it. Kailanu Akialaski. That's my best attempt. That's all you're getting. It is the most feared of all wizards or witches because they rob the life of the sick and dying. The Raven Mocker is said to fly through the air with a fiery shape. As they are near the victim's house or where they stay, they descend, making a raven-like cry. Here they find others of its kind, waiting while invisible to torment the victim until he or she dies. Here the real horror begins. When they enter the home / where they are staying, they begin to plague the victim, lifting them and throwing them on the floor while witnesses only see a dying victim struggling for breath. When the victim finally perishes, their heart is consumed and the remaining life is added to the Raven Mocker's lifespan. All of this is made possible by the weakened state of the victim, which, in the spirit of this particular episode, the victim will be weakened in their sleep. So just while everyone is listening and aware, I'm going to go through the 5 entities, I guess, and then I'll tell you some stories. So don't get too scared that I'm not gonna tell you stories, because that's what I like to do. Next on the list is originally where the word nightmare originates from, and it is called the mare, not the horse mare. Once thought to be demons and derived their name from the Old English word meaning evil spirits, a mare is a goblin who is believed to sit on the victim's chest and strangle them. Mares enter the home through keyholes intending to kill their victims. Now, most of this horrific event is explained by science as sleep paralysis mixed with strong hallucinations. Now, in my research, a mare has always been a demon, and it is actually closely related to an incubus. It only attacks the sleeping, and it does this so the victim will not try. It'll try not to go to sleep for long periods of time, like Nightmare on Elm Street type of thing, so that when they finally do fall asleep, they can't wake themselves like normal, and they can't fight back, so the demon kills them. Pretty neat, right?
So the lore of the mare goes back to pre-Christian times, but it's fairly easy to understand why most references are that it is a demon, because pre-Christian times, in the areas where legend of the mare comes from, did not have a written language, and most of their things were recorded down by Christian monks in the after times.
And hieroglyphics and shit.
Correct. That's Egyptian and Sumerian.
And
what? I don't know, probably other ones. Anasazi.
That's what I meant.
Yeah. Well, there's pictographic language in a lot of cultures.
Yeah. So I know hieroglyphics is the word for Egyptian type of things, but all cave drawings / carvings and whatnot.
Pictographic languages.
Yes, those. That's like all of those have depicted some sort of demon quote.
But now, thanks to Gen Z, we are once again falling into hieroglyphic language. So
yeah, it's called emojis.
Emojis. Death to emojis.
This next one is a bit new to me, so I'm just going to do it word for word from my research from hellhorror.com. They are called machine elves. Machine elves are described as faceless, multi-dimensional beings that appear to move in a machine-like manner. Psychonaut Terence McKenna first popularized them through psychedelic drugs, especially DMT. They are described as walking in a psychedelic world of fractal shapes. They are eager to meet their victims, talking incessantly and excitedly. Machine elves can sing objects into existence and are infamous for jumping in and out of human bodies, leaving the victim in a state of confusion, exhaustion, and trauma.
You put the machine elves in the nightmare category?
Because of some stories.
Most of the stories that and this is just, you'll have your stories, but most of the stories that I know of that machine elves are mentioned, it's not nightmare. They're actually supposed to be benevolent and, giving creatures who want to see humans evolve to the next stage. I watched Joe Rogan.
Yeah, but
anyway,
so the story in mention isn't scary, but this guy put so much into this story that I had to, give him the time.
So we're giving credit to hard work.
Yes.
That's fair.
Yes.
I appreciate hard work.
Yes.
All right.
And so this next one, I don't know if you're going to agree with this one either.
Oh boy,
but
here we go.
I'm going to let you have your fun with it. Next, we have aliens. Benjamin, you have your fun. Now, go ahead and talk.
I mean, that's another one that's debatable. Most abduction accounts start with, I was sleeping.
Yep.
I woke up.
Yep.
So that is one. Okay. I mean, that's also a fair assessment from a certain point of view.
Oh, well, look at you.
And there is nothing. So the extraterrestrial, I'm not sure if you could hear the air quotes in my voice there. There are some who do not believe that what we see as the gray aliens and the craft in which they maneuver, they're not extraterrestrial. There are some that see them as spiritual, which would mean they would find it much easier to communicate with us through our dreams.
Yeah.
We haven't gotten any of that yet on this show, but we will. Jacques Vallée is coming. Jacques Vallée will be coming. He's coming down the pipe.
Good. I appreciate him coming.
So,
down the pipe. Because that sounds dirty.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Sorry, Mr. Vallée.
So, a Roper poll published in 1992 suggests that nearly 4 million Americans reported experiences falling asleep and falling into the category of alien abduction. Another instance where sleep paralysis has been thought to be an underlying cause, but not proven to be the whole reason. Many of the stories we have done on this podcast have to do with aliens, and we've heard quite a few stories where they come for people in their sleep or they cause paralysis to the victim. And we will be covering several more in the future of aliens making their grand entrance while people are sleeping or in a sleep-like state. So sleep goes with aliens like peanuts and M&Ms. Benjamin, I did that one for you.
Peanut M&Ms are the inferior M&Ms, sir. Peanut butter M&Ms are the superior.
Well, I've only ever seen you eating the peanut M&Ms.
You have never seen me eat a peanut M&M, sir. I do not like peanuts.
But you like peanut butter.
I'm a very complicated individual.
You're so special. Whether it's when they make themselves known, abduct people, or even their fun little experiments on people, sleep is when they do most of this shit to us. So, now for the fun part of the episode, I will give examples to the best of my ability. So, first up, we have shadow figures, people, things. I rarely am one to make a big deal of things, let alone tell anyone weird, unbelievable stuff, but that's my mistake. I started reading it.
I would say, are you quoting you or are you quoting them? I couldn't tell the difference.
Yeah. Well, so I accidentally did bold right there. Okay. So recap. I rarely am one to make a big deal of things, let alone tell anyone weird, unbelievable things. But these are some experiences that I recently had in a house we lived in for a little under a year. We moved into this house in October of 2001. The first 2 or 3 months that we were there was all fine. Then on or around the first of the year in 2002, my 4-year-old, then 3, would wake up in the middle of the night absolutely terrified, saying that the monster was in her room. Now, of course, I brushed this off to childhood nightmares, but then in late February, I started waking up in the middle of the night with the feeling of someone staring at me. Note, my daughter stopped getting up. Upon looking in the general vicinity of where the feeling was coming from, I would briefly see a shadowy black and gray apparition that would be gone as soon as my eyes focused. This would give me the chills, then I would go back to sleep. So this would give me the chills, and then I'd go back to sleep. This occurred 2 to 3 times a week for months. The same nightly scenario. I'd wake up, focus, and it was gone. Or I'd wake up, see it, turn on the TV, and it was gone. Only once did my fiance actually see the apparition too. I think it was in June. She woke me up in the middle of the night and said she saw a faceless child standing next to her about 3 feet from the side of her bed. From her side of the bed. As soon as she looked at its face, or lack thereof, it was gone. I then got up, telling her it must have been my daughter. I went into her room and she was fast asleep. Other than this, she never saw anything again. The most frightening experience with it was in late August when I woke up from a deep sleep again and did the routine, except this time it didn't disappear. It stayed floating in the corner of the room. It was a swirling black cloud with some gray in it, probably 4 to 5 feet long and 1.5 to 2 feet wide. I will honestly say I have never felt that kind of fear in my entire life. It felt as though there was pure evil in the room. I couldn't move, but I was able to nudge my fiance and say, "Look, there it is, that thing I keep seeing." Which, with that, she rolled over, and only after she turned did it disappear. We moved out in late September, and I have not been woken up since. I did ask a few people for the history of the house, but to no one's recollection did anyone meet their fate on that ground. Like I said, normally I wouldn't take the time to write this. However, I feel as though I needed to get it off my chest. P.S. The corner that this thing would appear in was a corner where I had hung a crucifix on the wall. We left that behind as well to ensure we wouldn't be followed. So that's the first story.
So he saw it floating in the corner.
It.
And when you're down here with me, you float down!
Thanks, Pennywise.
Yeah, thank you. That book was so messed up.
Yes, indeed.
Like, way more messed up than the movies could even hope to be.
That's because if they put that in a movie,
Yeah,
it would
never
be illegal.
made a movie. Yeah.
Anyway.
Okay. So next, this one took some time, just so everyone knows, because I had to word for word this from a video. Next is The Raven Mocker, and this story is by someone named Taylor. I've been unsure where to go with this story. My grandpa recently passed away, and the night he did, something very strange happened. I'm from the Appalachian part of Virginia. My family is of Native American heritage. Stories of creatures are not unheard of, and my family takes them all very seriously. I recommend that You all take this very seriously because what my grandma and I experienced alone that night will haunt me forever. We live in the woods, not too far from our neighbors. The town is quite literally in the middle of nowhere. It's about a 5-minute drive to get any of the neighbors' houses from where we were. I tend to enjoy being at my grandma's place. My grandfather was becoming very sick and his time was nearing. I wanted to spend every second I could at his house before he passed, making sh- making sure to do whatever was needed to be done on his property or the surrounding land. A few nights had passed, and being that it was summer, I didn't have a job, so there was no need for me to go anywhere but there. I just texted my parents every once in a while so they knew I was safe, as they couldn't make the commute because they lived 2 hours away. It was just my grandma and I for a few days taking care of my grandpa. However, when dawn fell, he became extraordinarily sick. I was on the couch in the living room playing guitar when suddenly I heard something sounded like something flying over the house. My first thought was maybe there was a helicopter flying overhead. Seeing as how people got lost in the woods somewhat often, this wasn't that out of the ordinary, but it wasn't a helicopter. It sounded more like a bird, a huge bird that was circling the house. Now, I want to just put a pause in this. How, Taylor, how do you confuse a helicopter with a bird? They sound like the closest bird sounding to that is a freaking hummingbird, and it's the auditory closeness is not close at all. It is a million times off.
Have you ever been dive bombed by pigeons in a barn? All
No.
you hear is, and that's a pigeon. If this was an extra large bird, I could see it.
I can't. Okay. I did what any teenager would do, and I grabbed my 30-06 and went outside. I looked up and couldn't see anything. There were no lights or anything that I could see. I told my grandmother what I heard, and she said maybe it was a helicopter. I could still hear it flying in the air. Suddenly it stopped in the distance, and I heard what I can only describe as a scream or a screech of pure evil. At that moment, I froze. I had never heard anything like that before. For a few seconds after that, everything went stone silent. What broke the silence was my grandma opening the door and yelling at me to come back inside. I like to think of myself as very brave, but that was the fastest that I have ever ran before. My grandmother, now crying, told me I needed to go upstairs and say goodnight to my grandpa. I tried to tell her no, but there was a look in her eyes that told me not to. So I greeted my grandfather, who was barely alive at this point. I told him good night and that I loved him very much. I hugged him tightly and then went back downstairs and sat for 2 minutes. I then heard my grandma come downstairs, and she came into the room and held me tightly. Then she spoke softly, telling me that my grandpa was gone. She told me we needed to stay down in that room for the rest of the night. She said a Cherokee prayer, and then we went to bed. The next morning, we buried my grandfather, and my grandmother told me what a raven mocker was. She explained to me what the legend states they do, and that my grandpa had cheated them. He was ready to go even before they had arrived. We informed the medicine men of what happened, and they are keeping watch. There's the second story, Benjamin.
That's sad.
No,
Yeah, Grandpa died. Sad.
I know. Why is that sad?
Grandpa died. Sad.
Oh,
I mean, even if he was ready to go, still sad. Rip,
okay.
Grandpa.
Rip, Grandpa. Sorry, Taylor. Sorry for your loss. Next is the Mare Demon. All of the experiences I found turned into softcore porn, so I'm not going to cover this one. So we will move on to Machine Elves.
Damn it, people. It's supposed to sit on your chest, not your face.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I read some accounts, and mostly people like trying to summon these things so they will like, be able to
Bunch of
pump it into
neckbeard
submission.
virgins fucking trying to get some laid. They can't get a girl, so they try a demon.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. Like so many people link this in with incubi or succubi,
Mhm.
and it's mostly women. Like I feel like there's there's some Dean Koontz novels about this.
I feel like those aren't really women. Those are neckbeard dudes writing softcore
Softcore porn.
pornography. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I couldn't find like anything, so I decided to leave the porn out of it.
That's a nice change of pace. Anyway, go
Yeah.
ahead.
But there was definitely some choke me devil daddy stuff.
But it kind of sounds sexual, so I'll roll with it, okay?
Don't roll with it.
Don't
Ben.
roll with it.
These
Don't roll.
stories were weird.
Don't roll with the nightmare porn. All right, go ahead, buddy.
Okay, so next is machine elves.
Moving on
And like-
swiftly.
Like I said, this one isn't creepy, but this dude put a hell of a lot of work into it, so he deserves his story being told. Machine elves are known to experience or to be experienced in a sleep state or during a drug trip, and this guy took the drug trip route while he was tired and experienced these fellas. So here is Nov 3's story on machine elves, and he put like, you're gonna see how much he put into this. So it says substance for ACO DMT and ketamine.
Holy shit.
Yeah. He had an IV. So I'm guessing one of them is a drip. I don't know. And then like the actual thing.
This guy wasn't going on a trip. He was going on fucking vacation.
Yeah. 25 male, height 5'9", weight 140 pounds, setting his bedroom. Mindset, excited. I haven't tripped in a few months, and I've been looking forward to trying this combo properly for about a year. I've finally sourced both things and managed to save enough of the K without doing it all by myself. I've also been waiting till I've had enough time off of work to fully recover and enjoy the trip. At least he's doing it smart. Pre-trip, I prepare the primary IM shot of and an IM shot of for a hopeful K-hope midway through the trip, and an IV shot of to get me where I want to be if the primary 4 ACO shot doesn't get me there.
So just for the sake of the fact that I know there are a few kids that listen to this, I'm editing out all of the milligrams and stuff on the drug references. Okay, so if this sounds
Sorry.
a little bit weird, I'm just letting you guys know that's what happened. We don't want kids knowing how to go on this vacation. So don't do drugs,
Okay.
kids. Listen to Uncle Ben. Don't do drugs.
I have no idea how much that is.
I do.
Good.
That's why you
good.
should listen to your Uncle Ben, kids.
Okay. So here is my account in conversing with what I can only describe, as McKenna puts it, as machine elves. So at the beginning, he did this at midnight. I have the shots prepared and have a bit of as I start coming back to reality. Perfect. I've tried IM at about blank milligrams before, and it was a strong trip, but nothing like what I'm about to witness. I put the drugs / prepared shots into my bedside drawer and move my laptop from my desk to beside my bed. I then inject the first blank blank milligram shot into my right thigh. Wow. I sit on the floor and tap the side of the Tibetan singing bound to start to
Tibetan. Like the fucking country, bud. Tibetan.
Oh, it's spelt weird.
A Tibetan singing bowl.
Bowl?
Yeah, I had that's a little metal bowl that you use a little stick guy, and I got one somewhere. I don't know what I did with it, but
All right. Well, there's some typos.
fucking Tibetan. What the fuck
it's
is that?
Tibbatan.
Yeah, that's not how that's spelled.
And then singing, it's BOWN.
A singing bound?
That's
It's supposed to be bowl.
okay.
The guy was high as fuck. What do you want from him?
Legibility.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
To start to medicate a bit as I come up. So 5 minutes in, it comes on faster than I remember, and I start to cough a bit. I think I might be sick, but the nausea fades within 5 minutes. I'm at a plus within minutes, so I lay on my bed and put my favorite tripping album on Arian into the Electric Castle. Arion. With the visualization on Winamp playing. 30 minutes in, I'm at a plus in about 30 minutes. I listen to the first few tracks of the album, then decide to do the blank milligram why let it go to waste, I think. It's easier to hit a vein than I thought it would be. Goodness, I feel weird telling this, but he put a lot into this. It's easier to hit the vein than I thought it would be while tripping this hard, and I register without trouble. I've tried both substances IV'd on their own before, but I haven't enjoyed this experience. It seems to be over before it's truly begun. But this time is different. I turn off the music. 32 minutes in, I am catapulted into an alternate dimension. Plus. Am I in another universe or a parallel dimension? With my eyes closed, I'm in a room full of beings. They all seem to be part of a machine made from colorful patterns. They all gather around me, seeming shocked. Later on, it doesn't really matter whether my eyes are closed or opened. 40 minutes in, through 3 hours in, they seem shocked, and I apologize if I've barged in on anything. I didn't intend to. They inform me that it's okay. They're just surprised to see me as I am surprised to see them. Can this be real? I've listened to McKenna speak about machine elves in his talks, and I even thought I experienced them all, but it less intensely on DMT before. But by and large, I took them to be a product of McKenna's overactive imagination in combination with high dosages of mushrooms and DMT. But here I am in the world conversating with them. I spent the next few hours asking them questions and agreeing with them at how interesting it was. Me, are you the machine elves McKenna talks about? They seem bemused. Them, what are elves? They ask. Me, I explain they're magic beings which are part of human folklore and other cultures. They all laugh. They like the idea of being seen as magical entities. It seems like they think it's ridiculous, but are happy to have the association. I also explained to them that the machine part, and explain that to be, it seems as though they are made of some complex machinery. I can hear the bleeps and bloops, kind of an R2D2, as their colorful surface slash skin moves in different directions. And there's also noises of how you imagine a robot slash car factory machine moves its arms and legs. Voot, voot, voot. When I speak aloud, my voice and the noises I make echo slightly around their room. Different acoustics to how my bedroom is. Me. What do you yourselves in your own language? They make a complex noise incorporating the noises I explained earlier. I can't remember or repeat it. They ask my name and I tell them, speaking in English. It doesn't seem to matter which way I talk to them. I communicate with them via thought for the questions, and also kind of speaking in tongues for the bleeps and blops. When talking, discussing small talk, they put food in my mouth and I take drinks from them. I can't taste anything, but I can feel it in my mouth. I thank them for using small talk language. I put my arm out to see if I can touch them and they hold my hand. Some are made from long, complex tentacles. Others look different, but I can't remember their features. I turn round, and there are more behind me. They jump back, startled, when I turn to face them, but then they come closer to me. Me. Do many humans end up here, or any other beings for that matter? They say they've heard of it, but have never witnessed it. We talk about whether they're in another universe entirely, or if they're overlapping our reality, and come to the conclusion there must be some sort of overlap. I apologize again for barging in, but they reassure me that it's okay. It's an interesting experience all around, and they're glad I'm there, even if it was a shock at first. I think back to a previous trip where I experienced an ego death unitive experience. I asked them if they understand the concept of oneness, and if so, how can they exist if everything is one? They tell me that this concept seems plausible, but asking how they can exist is like them asking how humans can exist. Even if oneness is a reality, it doesn't mean different life forms couldn't develop separately. I'm surprised they aren't some kind of wholly enlightened race or something, though maybe I was naive to think that in the first place. I tell them how humans evolved on Earth the best I can with my limited scientific knowledge, and tell them that we are carbon-based life forms made from organic matter. At one point, I'm able to make it to the toilet, and they come with me. Wow. I show them how our bodily functions kind of work. He pees.
I thought we weren't doing the porn part.
This is wet work. It's only foreplay.
Fair point.
I ask how they came to be or what they're made of, but they don't seem to understand. It's as though they've been this way for so long that they can't remember. 4 hours in, after conversating for a few hours and being fed and watered by them, I tell them how I ended up here via the drug, and ask them if there's more to their world outside of this room I found myself in. They tell me there is, but they don't know how they could show me. It seems as though I must be some kind of apparition to them, not fully solid in their world and unable to move around properly. I explain it would be great to come and visit again, perhaps being able to bring a friend, and they tell me that I'm welcome. I ask if I'll end up back with them or in another part of their world or in a different place altogether, and they say they don't know. I then remember and ask them if it would be okay to do it now or if that would be disrespectful. Will you be here when I get back, or perhaps you'll be able to come with me? They say they're not sure again, but they would like to come with me if possible because it would be another new experience for them. I agree and take the shot from my drawer. 5 hours in, I come around about an hour or two later. I don't remember anything of the K-hole. The beings are gone, but I'm still tripping from the slightly. I snorted some of the try to put the Arion back and figure it out for a minute, but then mess it up trying to find the visualization. I quit after a few minutes and just lay back contemplating what just happened. And yeah, there's a lot more, but it's just going into how he wants to do more drugs.
Oof. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So,
Yeah.
On one hand, this is very easy to dismiss for obvious reasons. You know, you're taking mind-altering substances. And yet that falls into the same thing, like I said, with shadow people, where people do DMT. And they come out of it, even if they have no prior knowledge of other people's DMT happenings, they come out and describe extraordinarily similar things. So there is this theory that DMT and other hallucinogenic drugs actually open our consciousness to something that is very real. It allows us to see what our mind blocks out normally. There's also the theory that you're high as fuck. So I'm not sure which one I really go with, but the similarities are interesting, to say the least.
Something that reminds me of like this type of tripping is how people like explain astral projection.
So astral projection in and of itself is, I suppose, similar. It's not quite this intense of tripping to a different plane of existence. You're more or less still in this world.
But it is drug-free.
But our mind, so a lot of people don't know this, our mind and body somehow actually makes DMT. You have it in your brain pan right now.
Except for me, because I'm drug-free.
I mean, literally, you make it naturally. It occurs naturally, and it occurs in your own brain. Your brain makes it. You can just add more and then talk to the machine elves, I guess.
Yeah. So, yeah, that was a lot. And goodness, dude, even if this is like not true, you put a lot of work into this.
He put a lot of work into getting fucking high is what he did.
Yeah, he did.
Holy shit balls.
Yeah.
Let's go fly a kite. That guy was a fucking kite.
Yeah. Frickin'
with no string. With no, yeah. Ooh, boy.
All right, so finally on to aliens. And though it was difficult for me to pick one encounter, I found one that was kind of cool. So be ready. The other night, I had a very interesting experience. First, I want to mention that this is not my first time I've had an extraterrestrial encounter. I haven't medicated as usual in a few months due to personal reasons, but the other night I meditated, not medicated, my bad, meditated, then went to sleep.
Yeah, the last guy medicated.
Yeah, the last guy medicated, this guy meditated. But the other night I meditated when I went to sleep. Once I fell asleep, I was in a home similar to mine. All of the lights were off, but I kept hearing some noise in the other room. Long story short, I came face to face with an alien. Immediately, the vibrations became stronger and stronger the closer I went towards it. The alien starts backing away, hesitating to step forward. I suddenly told it, "Wait, I just want to get to know you." And the alien steps forward. He waves his hand, and the heavy vibrations are gone. And I could see the alien's face clear as day. At that moment, I was very cautious within this dream, quotes, as I'm taking in what just happened. I hesitated to ask my questions, and then he tells me, "Hold on, about 8 minutes." Not verbally, but telepathically. Then it walks past me into the kitchen, and suddenly the alien's consciousness left its body and into another dimension. The alien's body was just standing there silent and still. I walked over to the motionless body and tried to communicate with it. Then I heard another alien behind me saying, "He said give him 8 minutes." A few minor details happened after that, but once I woke up, I could feel my consciousness settling back into my body. I laid there motionless for a few seconds, trying to move my body. Once I finally sat up, I realized I had heart palpitations. I've come to the conclusion 2 years ago, the main reason for these heart palpitations is due to us coming from a higher vibration down to our regular vibration too quick. The entire day, I had an insane amount of energy stored in me, like I was on drugs, but at the same time, my physical body was tired. This is a very trippy episode.
I feel like that heart palpitation thing is possibly not true.
Either that or go to a doctor.
That's what I'm saying. You might need a little bit more potassium there, my guy.
Eat a nanner.
Yeah, or an orange.
Or an orange nanner.
Or an orange nanner.
Yeah, so that was...
Yeah, woof, I don't know.
Yeah.
Again, this is a tough one because so many people share the similarities that it's almost like too coincidental. And yet, you can very easily just pass it off as a drug trip or a dream. I don't know. I just don't know.
Yeah, So, back to the astral projection thing. Have you ever tried it? And or succeeded?
I have tried astral projection multiple times, but I always fall asleep.
I have attempted it twice. And the first time, I think I got bored. The second time, I fell asleep, and that was my very first encounter with sleep paralysis.
Mm.
And that was disgustingly vivid. I remember I was laying in my bed, and like one half of the room was normal, the other half looked like a castle balcony, and I could hear something scaling the wall coming up. And I remember seeing these like giant fingers come up over the rail, and this creature following its fingers. It crawls over top of me, and I could feel its breath, and I'm like trying to move and yell at it, and like all the other things that I probably tried to do include crying. But I couldn't do anything. And as soon as it touches me, and I felt it, but as soon as it touched me, I was finally able to move, and it disappeared instantly. And the room went back to normal. But it was terrifying.
Yeah, see, that's why I'm glad I don't remember my fucking nightmares.
Yeah. I remember a lot of my nightmares, but that was my first go at sleep paralysis, and I would be happy if I didn't experience that again.
Yeah, I can imagine that would not be pleasant.
No, it was not. It wasn't. But yeah, that's what I got for, I guess, nightmares.
Yeah, sure. Nightmares and the creatures that follow us outside of them. Ladies and gentlemen, as always, thank you so much for listening. We really do appreciate you spending your time with us here on the Paranatural Podcast. Until next time, we love you. Good night.
Good night.
Careful of the nightmares, though.
Same, but that takes no skill anymore.
Bullshit. I'm playing Red Dead Redemption right now, and I named my horse John Bon Pony. And then I killed it. I killed John Bon Pony. Now I'm back to the shitty horse.
Oh, that's probably the greatest thing I've ever heard. All right, well, then I'll set up the TikTok on this.
All right.
Dude, so I went to Mushroom Fest yesterday for a corn dog.
Were the trees talking to you?
No.
Oh, wrong kind of mushrooms. Wait, you went to Mushroom Fest for a corn dog?
I love festival corn dogs so much.
Shouldn't you have went for mushrooms?
No. It's like a festival. It's got rides and a bunch of shit.
But no mushrooms?
Oh, they sell mushrooms there, but it's like $80 a pound.
I feel like that's false advertising.
Eh.
If you go to Hippie Fest, there's hippies everywhere. If you go to a Renaissance festival, everybody's dressed in Renaissance era clothing.
Not everyone.
How come the Mushroom Festival doesn't have fucking mushrooms?
Oh, it's completely morale oriented, like. But
I just got this image in my head of a morale mascot just walking around looking like a big wrinkly gray wiener. Marty Morale.
It's better than that one show, Moral Oral.
Dude, that show was hilarious.
Yeah. I'm surprised you knew it. Aren't you old?
I'm hip.
Yeah, that's exactly why you use that word.
I'm hip to the groove.
I bet.
No cap.
Wait. Oh, shit.
What?
Nice.
What?
Well, so I can cast the video from my my phone so I have better video quality.
Yeah.
But you'll still look like shit.
Yeah, that's all right. I look like shit anyway.
It's true. That's not what I wanted.
Just sitting here looking like fat Kratos and shit.
Fat Kratos. So I can make this small. Yep. It's working. Goodness, I look terrible.
That's why I don't turn it on my side. I would lose all of my confidence.
Penis.
As long as I can only hear my own voice, we're doing fine. I sound like a handsome man.
I don't. I mean, you're not that ugly.